can I chime in with a
Yeah.
use case?
Yes,
You
please.
talk about it early. There's a thing where we all know there's expensive words that people ask in our industry, and one of them is freedom to operate. Okay. And when you look at an early stage company, let's say there's, some larger players. An early stage company typically, pre-seed, doesn't have a lot of money, and typically, actually, even investors don't ask for FTO searches at that level, because we all know that that's an expensive question to ask a reputable law firm. Well, when you now can use AI and AI agents and platforms like IP Author, those questions become accessible from a price standpoint. You can
Mhm.
actually ask those questions that typically you wouldn't look at. And quite honestly, a lot of those early stage companies, when they get into a Series A or Series B round, that's when they find out that foundationally there were problems, there were patent tickets they were unaware of, and now they have a problem in terms of actually getting future rounds of funding. So what we're seeing is these questions, these expensive questions that were being asked, maybe at a stage where you would say as a patent practitioner, look, your early stage, this is not necessary at this stage. A lot of investors wouldn't expect you to spend that kind of money. I think this is going to change, and I think you're going to start seeing a compression happening where those expensive questions are going to get asked.
So, and that's a great point because that's one of the things that as you start to use these tools, what you start to see is things you otherwise could not have done because of the time, because of the investment, because you don't even know whether you're going to wind up with getting a useful result for some of these things. You can do much quicker and are actually going to be done. This opens up the possibility to do all kinds of work that you're not doing right now. And clients see it, attorneys using it see it. So I just do not think that this is going to take anybody's job in our area. I mean, AI is going to take jobs away from attorneys that do form stuff, like write form leases, write simple wills and trusts, maybe. But just like there's always going to be a need for, if you have a lot of assets, you're not going to go to AI and ask for a will, right? I mean, you're just not going to do that. I mean, so in our space where you have to be describing fundamentally or searching or looking at landscapes of things that don't exist, that have never existed, or they're one-off innovation, that is a different, higher level. I am excited by what these tools allow us to do, and I think if you start using them, you're going to be very creative and see all kinds of things you can use these tools for with your clients and to make them better off, and also to continue to expand your own business.
There's something called the Jevons paradox, right? Like, when things become cheaper or easier to access, the more the usage just explodes, right? Like, when the internet made shopping easier, people started shopping way more. That's just one
Right.
example. That is at play in coding. I'm a coder. When ever since we've had Claude Code, we've started expanding our imagination, things that we didn't think were possible. We are able to execute and deliver to you guys like this platform, right? And more. Uh, the same thing is likely to happen in every single domain. That is likely to happen even with respect to IP. Things, and we are already seeing that. Our clients are doing things that they never thought they would do before because it would take like, hundreds of associate hours or thousands of hours of engineering time. They were Now
Um,
they can do that. They were not being, they were afraid to dream, oh, what if I had this piece of information, or what if I had this analysis? Now they do not hold back. They are snapping their fingers and using tools like this to have all that information so that the decision making is a lot more data driven. And that's the world we are getting into, where knowledge work is going to just explode in terms of volume. And then we will still need patent attorneys to supervise this work, supervise this explosion of information. So yes, Gene, 100% in agreement with you and Dan and George. Like, there's no way anybody is going to lose jobs, but I think we're going to need to use these tools and get prepared to do our jobs in a very different way.